I'm from Kenya, and I'm here to testify of a miracle that happened to my brother who was sick a few months ago. I received a call from my cousin who lives in Canada, Jane. She's one of the followers, very staunch followers of Pastor Jerry and his ministry. And she had mentioned earlier that we needed to listen and to log in and to pray with him and trust that he was going to receive the healing, because she had talked about how the ministry by Pastor Jerry was really healing people, and people are receiving and giving testimonies about the healing. So at this particular day in the month of January, we were admitted in the hospital, and it was a second day. And he had been admitted because he had an infection. And this morning, I remember when we were driving to the hospital to see him, she called and she told us to log in that morning and trust that God was to do something. So when we got to the bedside, before we could log in, a doctor came when she was doing the round, and he gave us a very devastating news, because he told him that whatever he was suffering from, or rather if he continued to have any infection, that kind of condition does not last more than 2 weeks. And it was very devastating. Even I could see it on his face, because it was not one of the best news to receive early in the morning. Because medically, scientifically, ascites from liver cirrhosis is not to only get worse, and with time, despite vigorous treatment. And I think this is what doctors had thought. And because God answer is always the true and the yes, and we did not trust in the doctor's report, and therefore we went ahead and we logged it into Pastor Jerry's preaching this morning. We said a word of prayer. We had been praying and fasting previously for his health. And this morning we trusted that he was going to receive the healing as according to the faith that we had. And therefore, when we joined the prayers, we were listening, the preaching had started, and we thank God during the preaching, when he came to the prayers, he mentioned, and he said clearly that if you are the one, put it on the live screen. And I remember him mentioning decompensated liver cirrhosis several times.
I see it written in front of me. Decompensated. Decompensated. Cirrhosis. Decompensated. Cirrhosis. If you are the one, put it on the live stream. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. I announce, let it be reversed.
And at this point, I could feel it in my heart that there was no other patient who was being mentioned other than our dad. We prayed and we believed in him, and we trusted that it was him who was receiving the healing. And we could even see his face change, and he looked right there, and then he had received the healing. And we thank God, because since that moment, that minute, we could tell that God was doing miracles, because after they removed the fluid from his stomach, they removed about 9 liters, and was given some albumin so that the fluid could not come back faster, because initially we had been doing the same thing, and within 2 weeks the fluid was accumulating so fast. So at this particular time, after the prayer, and we trusted and we believed that God had healed him completely. So 2 days later we were discharged home, and I want to say this, indeed, what God cannot do does not exist, because what the report the doctor had given us were contrary to what God did. And we have seen his health improve tremendously, because he's never had any admission. In fact, the last 2 doctor visits we went, he was given a very good report, and this doctor said they don't need to see him every now and then, can only do follow-up after 2-3 months. And to be honest, can only be God, and there is nothing else we can say. We cannot say it was the medical, it was anything to do with anything but God's words. And because we trusted and we believe in his healing, we want to thank God at this moment, because we don't want to be like the 10 lepers, or rather the 9 lepers who never came back to say thank you. So therefore, I just want to come back and say thank you to God Almighty, and also to Pastor Jerry, because through him we have received this miracle. We have seen his health improve, and all I can say and pray to God is that may you continue ministering to other people, so that God's name may remain to be glorified, and many people may receive his lordship through your ministry.